Good afternoon and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about my July favourites, and so let's get started. Well, this is part of my Sarah Raven Wildflower Meadow collection, and I'm really pleased with this because, as I've mentioned before, this has been a very difficult corner of the garden. It's particularly prone to weeds, and it's not that sunny. It's not shade, but it's not that sunny. So I've sown this really to get myself off the hook of weeding, because it's my least favourite job. So this mix is wonderful. You've got this beautiful poppy here, which is gorgeous. It's got a lovely pink outside section, absolutely gorgeous. And then as you move across here, you will see there's more. There's lovely deep pink ones here. You've got a lovely little double white one hiding in there. We've got the beautiful traditional poppy here, which I absolutely love. Look at this one, it's gorgeous. Look at this, look at that, absolutely wonderful. Blowing around in the wind. It's quite a windy afternoon here. We're going to get thunder tomorrow. We've got a lovely flower here. Look at this one. This is just wonderful, and it's literally just been sown and left to its own devices. So that's one of my favourite things. It's even got some beautiful cornflowers here too. You'll just see popping up here. So that's lovely. I'm really pleased with that. Just behind it, actually, you'll see this is a Bardsey apple, and this is lovely because it's starting to set fruit. There's a lovely apple up here and a couple more down the bottom there, so very much looking forward to that. So certainly if I stand back, you'll be able to see it's a lovely wildflower meadow, and absolutely thrilled with the way this is going, and absolutely delighted with all the poppies. So what's next of my favourites? Well, if you just pop over here, you should see the rhubarb bed, which is absolutely incredible at the moment. The early rhubarb, whilst it has actually carried on growing, I'm not picking this anymore. Very soon I'm going to tidy this up, and I'm going to leave it then for the winter, probably give it a good feed. But the late variety rhubarb over here is now cropping very well. As you can see down here, we've got plenty to pick, and I will be picking that shortly and freezing it. The later varieties have less oxalic acid in them, so you can eat them well into November time. So I'm very pleased with that. Another of my favourite things, I think you may have seen yesterday, I photographed the fig. This over here in the pot, Madeleine des Deux Saisons, is a lovely variety of fig, which is producing very nicely. So that's three of my favourite things. I'll just pop along here and show you a little bit more. The strawberries are doing very well, coming to a little bit less production now. This is my main crop bed. Still got some in flower, but most of them are coming to an end, and I'm now depending on my perpetual bed, which is the late variety, and the ones that are perpetual. So in other words, they will crop for quite a long period of time. So they're doing quite well now. And then I think another of my favourite things in the garden at the moment is my perennial bed. This is my mishmash bed. I just put anything in here that I fancy, really, and the aim is going to be to get it as close together as possible, again to stop the weeds. So I've also got one or two vegetables and things growing in here. I've got a rather nice tomato coming on here. Absolutely love these echinacea. These are absolutely gorgeous. I love these. Absolutely gorgeous. These are a lovely orange variety, sombrero. Very lovely. I've also got the gerberas. They're carrying on very nicely. And achillea. No perennial garden would be complete without this. It flowers for months on end and is very beautiful and very tall as well. I love that particularly at this time of year. It's very lovely. Here we've got another echinacea, not quite in flower yet. And got a couple of French lavenders here to show you. They're just going over now actually, just past their best. And what I will do with those is I'll take a third of the foliage off in a few days time when they finish flowering, and that will stop them becoming woody. And sometimes that encourages a second flush of flowers, but the best part of it is it stops them becoming thick woody stems and facilitates flowering for the next year. Very, very pleased with those. Also very pleased with the good old commoner garden English chrysanthemums. These need a little bit of deadheading, but very, very happy to show you those. Lovely, lovely chrysanthemums, very inexpensive to buy from Victoriana nurseries. My pansies are carrying on. I'm very pleased with these. These are not mine, these belong to my late father, and he passed away in April last year, and they've been flowering ever since. I just come along every now and then and I just deadhead them, literally just pinch off the flowers, and more are coming. They're a little bit leggy, but I'm enjoying them just the same, and some of the faces on them are absolutely lovely. I mean, look at that. Isn't that wonderful part of nature? So another favourite thing of mine, of course, at the moment is the Granny Smith's apples. This tree, very small tree, has set a large crop. I will have to thin this a little bit, otherwise it will become too heavy for itself. But these are a great variety, Granny Smiths. They'll stay on the tree as long as you want them to, until you're ready to eat them, so you've no need to store them. And they're quite a late variety, so you wouldn't be thinking of picking these until November time anyway, but they will stay on the tree until January, February, so I highly recommend those. So I'll take you over here into quite a wild corner of the garden. I keep this very wild for the hedgehogs, and I'm just going to show you one of my favourite white geraniums. I can just squeeze myself under here. These are lovely. I mean, you know, they're very inexpensive and they have a lovely, lovely flower. Absolutely love those, and I recommend them especially in shade. This is a very shady area of the garden, and I let it grow wild for the hedgehogs. So lovely to see those doing very well in the shade. And then I think one of my favourite things, which I'll complete my tour of the things that I've really enjoyed this month, are the cosmos and this underlying meadow I did plant to support them and also to give a little bit of interest. I'm really, really pleased the way this is going. The flowers look lovely underneath. There's a nice little mix of almost fairy type cornflowers. Very, very happy with those. Some of them are really beautiful down here. And then of course just above them are the cosmos flowers, which, I mean, I think these have to be my favourite in the whole garden. I just can't, I grow these every year. I can't even tell you how much I love them. But I am pleased this year because I think rather than just growing them by themselves, this underplanting of meadow flowers has really added some nice interest. So very, very happy with those. The stellar cherries now have finished, and the tree's looking quite sad now in a way because there's nothing red, which is, you know, the way it is. They've all been picked. One or two stragglers right at the top. I will be giving this tree a little bit of a prune. This is the only time of the year I prune cherries, just after they've fruited. You definitely don't want to touch a cherry with any kind of pruning tool in the winter time because they're prone to disease. But they don't need a lot of pruning, generally speaking. So what else? Got some Morello cherries ready here. These are struggling a little bit in the heat. It's been very hot, but still they're looking nice, and there's lots and lots of them. So I'm looking forward to picking the rest of these. We've had quite a lot of them so far, but very nice crop. And as I said many times on my videos, it's not really about the fruit with Morello cherries, it's about the beauty, the wonderful fretwork of branches that they grow, which means that the birds can hide in here, and it just looks so pretty from the house. I'll see if I can show you a much larger picture here of what it's like. Really nice canopy. And then I suppose I have one regret. It's not a plant actually. I'll show you that in a moment. Something else has just caught my eye, which is I thought I'd just show you again. This is the Pomona Fruits Burbank's tangerine plum tree, and they're just starting to turn a lovely golden yellow. So I shall be picking those in a few weeks' time. I'm very happy with those. And just before I show you my one little regret, I'll just show you the green gages, because they're also quite lovely. Not ready yet, of course. It's a late August, early September variety, green gages, but doing very nicely in this hot weather. Green gages really like hot weather, so very happy with those. So I'll just now take you to my one regret. It's a bit sad, this, but I thought I'd mention it just because I think it's quite important. Every year on my dog walks, I have the misfortune to come across a poor little hedgehog that passes away, and it's nearly always in times of very hot weather. And I unfortunately came across one a couple of days ago. It was so sad as well, because it was really beautiful, and I think it hadn't long passed away, because it was just lying on the grass in the day and looked very, very newly passed. So I did what I always do if I find them passed, is that I bring them home and I bury them in the garden and give them a little bit of a ceremony, because as you know, I love hedgehogs. So this one is buried just here. The cherries are falling on top of him or her at the moment as the birds eat some of them. And you'll notice the sand, that's where I've planted wildflowers. So hopefully in a few weeks' time there'll be a beautiful little wildflower grave. But it is one of my regrets, because in suburban gardens, if everybody put out a terracotta shallow dish of water, then hopefully this wouldn't happen. So that is my one regret. But other than that, nothing to regret at all really in the garden. It's been a lovely few weeks of lovely hot sunny weather, and that's been so nice to have, you know, to look forward to. So I'll leave you with my last little happy thing, which is my medlar tree, and I'll be talking about this in a few weeks' time actually, because these are just coming on a treat. And I absolutely love these because they're really unusual and very difficult to buy in the shop. So I'll do a video all about them in a few weeks' time when they're ready. But in the meantime, happy gardening, and have a lovely weekend.